This is what I consider the original 129, the original iteration of the M119. Totally different feel in this one and how firm and tight it still feels. We really spared no expense in bringing this car up to date. The best combination and why I think it is the best SL. Hey everyone, and welcome back to DC MotorWerks. We appreciate you tuning in with us today. My name is Cameron, and if you've watched the channel for a while, you know we are lovers of 129s. It's on the building too. But today I have brought you my absolute favorite, even more so than my personal V12 SL600. And that is because this is what I consider the original 129. So this is a 1992 500 SL. And what makes that kind of the original or the best is this is the highest rated V8, besides the AMGs, which were very, very limited production. But this is the M119.960. So this is the K-Jet or CIS equipped 119, the early one, the original, and it is just paired with the 4-speed automatic in this one. It is super snappy and is a totally different driving experience from one of the later ones. I actually tell people if they're shopping these that they are two totally different cars, and hopefully we'll show you that more on the driving portion of the video. But in addition, what makes this one super special and why I'm so excited about it is it is a 33,000 mile example in one of the best color combinations, and also a very uncommon color combination, as this is 904 blue, also known as midnight blue, over a Palomino interior. It is also known as saffron and saddle. People kind of interchange it, but it is most well known as Palomino, and it is because it is the darker tan. Coming around the side here, you can just see how nice this car is. And because an early 129 was my first car, I really have a soft spot for this one. I just like the original classic look as the car came out originally in 1989. And this one just being a couple years later is very similar to that, but just a few little updates here and there, mainly being that it has traction control or ASR, which is automatic slip regulation. The 904 blue with the satin finished bumpers and lower trim just really looks good on the original Ghoulie Deckle wheels, or manhole covers as they're also known. Come around the side and you can just see how nice this one still is after all these years. And this one is actually named Joan. So I got in touch with the previous owner of this car. It was out in New Mexico, and he actually acquired the car with his condo. So when he went to go buy his condo, this car was sitting in the garage, and he said, I'll buy the condo if the car comes with it. That's how he acquired it, which is a super cool story. And the lady's name was Joan, so that's why he named the car Joan. She was, I believe, the second owner of the car, so he was the third owner, and was just used as a second home and a second car there. So it was used very sparingly, and you can tell that in just the condition of it. But let me go ahead and we'll pop the hood and we'll show you that very special engine that I was just talking about. Hopefully you can see on camera on this bright sunny day just how beautiful this color is. It is actually not metallic, and I really think the dark blue with a non-metallic finish really does look good. It gives it a very deep look. And there you have the M119.960, so the original iteration of the M119. So this was after many, many years of having the single cam V8s that were just had okay performance, that they came out with this quad cam 32 valve 5-liter V8. And in 1989, this made 322 horsepower, which was a big number for back then, and still is a pretty big number. And I say we'll show you a little bit more of that once we get on the road. They actually feel a lot stronger than their ratings suggest. Part of what makes these extra desirable to me compared to the later cars is that the injection system, which is kind of known to be a little more finicky, K-Jet, you know, the old mechanical injection, and it is also very fuel thirsty. But they always run, you know, they can always use a little tweaking and stuff. They have what's called full throttle enrichment. So under full throttle, it'll add some extra fuel to kind of give you that extra power boost, which they took away in the later models as they went to the what we call LH fuel injection system. But you can see just how nice and tidy everything is under here. A lot of times these stars go missing, or you'll see discoloration on the fuel distributor there. But this just looks so good. You can also see a lot of the original Cosmoline, which was a corrosion preventative that was sprayed on them from the factory. Just super nice original car. All the stickers are mostly in place. So this one, being a 92, was originally equipped with R134, so it is easily serviceable with the air conditioning system, whereas like my first car, with it being a 90 model, still had the old R12 system in it. While we're under here, we'll go ahead and fire it up for you. One extra cool part about this is it has its original chunky key. So this is the original remote key. They had this gray finish, and they were quite large. So the replacement ones stopped about here. They're a lot smaller. But it is super cool to see that this one still has its remote key all these years later, and it still works. And a neat thing about the keyless entry of these back in this day is it was infrared. It was not radio frequency. So you actually had to be pointing your key at the door or whatever receiver you were using, and that's what these are here on the door handle. So you'll point it towards it, hit the button, and you'll see it gives you a feedback light. So it flashed red to tell me everything was locking. And if I do the opposite, it will flash green. So the middle part is the receiver here, and you have that on both doors and one on the trunk. So in order for this to work, you do have to be pretty close to the car and actually point it towards it, because if you point it just away like a modern car key, it will not work. You can see there it just barely spins over. And look, you can't even tell it's running. And that is one of the best things, as I've talked about in our other SL videos that have the 113 motors, like the two that are behind us here, is that the 113 is a little more unrefined, a little lumpy. But the 119, I mean, you can balance a wine glass on that motor. They run so smooth. And part of the reason that runs so smooth also is because we have fully gone through this car and done just about everything it needed. So we did some fresh spark plugs, and we did the ignition wires, which a lot of people neglect to do because they are expensive and labor intensive to get the routing. And like I said, these have twin distributors and so forth, but we made sure it was all good to go on this one, had it all freshened up. With that said, let's go ahead and check out this beautiful interior, and then we'll go for a ride. All right, so have a look at this nice interior. I mean, this is such a nice place to spend time, and you can just see how nice the seats and everything are. These are a different design on the early cars, and you can see just how nice and soft these are, and there's no wear anywhere to be seen. No color fading or anything. It was garage kept and just absolutely beautiful. This was the interior color that my first car had, and mine was not this nice, but so it is really nice to see what a nice one looks like. All the carpets are super clean. I mean, it is original down to the radio. So like I said, these early models were a little different, and again, they are my favorite. The seat design of these, I think, was much better and a lot more comfortable, and I'd say a little more supportive too. It's just the build quality of the early cars was totally different. You can tell as soon as you step inside. And you got the nice perforated section here. You know, you got the nice real wood trim, which is aluminum backed, and you got your door pockets here. And I also thought was really cool, your door locks were the thumb controls here. So you put your thumb here, and you can hear everything locks by vacuum very quietly. It's just a super cool thing to see. And another special thing about these is that if you notice, the dash on the brown or tan interior cars, it is actually a brown dash and a brown steering wheel. It is a very dark chocolate brown, which a lot of people don't notice. There on the shifter, like, there's just absolutely no wear on anything. And even here on the steering wheel, all the graining is still there. It hasn't been worn down. It is just super cool to see this. I said, especially because my first car was an early one. This is in this color. It makes it feel very at home to me. Although this one is much nicer than mine. Mine had faded and ripped up interior, and the steering wheel was worn out, and the shifter was peeling, and it was rough. Totally different feel in this one, and how firm and tight it still feels. Another one of my favorite things about these early ones is the rear view mirror here. And not because they're delicate, as that is kind of a thing on 129s, but it is power operated. So if you have the power mirror switch in the center position here, it controls the rear view mirror. And side to side as well. And it also ties into your memory function. So if you have your memory set and your mirror has been moved by someone, you just push your memory and it will actually turn that back in place as well. Super cool feature that they got rid of on the later 129s, because they ended up doing cost cutting through the model run, And I guess that was one of the things that didn't make it, and probably because a lot of people broke them. They should have had a warning that said do not move by hand or something, but yeah, is what it is. Just a cool thing that we can see by enjoying these early ones. But here driving it, I wish I could translate it more from the other SLs, is that the feel of these early ones is so much more solid. The steering feel, it's heavier, and I'd say more direct as well. And even the ride quality is just, I don't even know how to describe it. It just feels so much more like a bank vault than some of the later ones. I don't know if they changed the shock valving or they changed the steering box or what it was. I've asked a bunch of Mercedes guys, even from in period, that knew these new, and no one can answer that question for me. So kind of unfortunate in that regard, but I just always tell people, if they want the driver's SL, this is the one to get. And especially with the nice snappy .3 4-speed automatic. Put our foot down here. And it pulls so strong all the way through the rev range. It is not the most responsive transmission. You do kind of have to tell it what to do. If you really want it to give you some power, you either have to move the shifter manually like I just did, or mat your foot as hard as you can into the kick down button to really give you everything. As I said earlier, we really spared no expense in bringing this car up to date. We didn't really leave anything untouched. Like I said, we did the full ignition system. It's got fresh engine mounts. We did the full front end kit, all the tie rods, idler arm, and everything there. We serviced the transmission and adjusted what's called the vacuum modulator to tighten up the shifts a little, because I like these to be snappy, and that is a nice thing about these .3 transmissions, is that you can adjust when it shifts and your shift firmness. It is an old mechanical transmission that you can make all those adjustments. Beyond that, we rebuilt all the roof cylinders and even put on a brand new soft top on this one. So this car really is just a timepiece, because you can see just how nice all the lettering, every switch, nothing has any type of wear on it. I've talked about before, these hazard switches will start to turn kind of white and chalky, but that hasn't happened. None of the buttons are loose on the radio. You just have the tiniest bit of wear on the off button there on the climate control. And it still has that nice climate control that is blowing cold. If you have like heat on your feet and you want some cooler air on your face, you can hit the blue button there. And just the opposite with the red button. If you have the AC on but want warmer air coming out of here, you can hit that red button there. And above that, you have your sunglasses holder, is what I call that. It also had the controls for a phone if you did have that. But let's go ahead and show you this 119. So if you give it full kick down, it goes down into first. At 60 already. And up to 80, no problem. And you can see there, it just pops off every shift, very sharp, which was kind of common for the Benz of the time period until they went to the 722.6 5-speed, which we've talked about a bunch, where they got the slush box, whereas before it was these old snappy, fully hydraulic transmissions, and really gives a lot of driver engagement, especially because you have to tell it what to do. Like I said, you kind of got to move the shifter around by hand and really dig into the pedal and tell it what you want it to do. And there you can see I just clicked it down into B, and what that does is put it down into first gear, because all the Benzes of this time period had second gear start, except for like some of the 6-cylinders and like the E420, very selective. But most of the V8 cars got the second gear start. But if you click it down into B, you get a first gear start. And some people even put first gear start modules in these so that it would always do first gear start, which makes them pretty fun and rowdy. And if you want even more of a sporty drive out of your SL, I wish I could just stress on you more the feel of how solid the ride feels and the steering feel, whereas the later ones can feel a little lighter on their feet and a little twitchy. These early ones were just total bank vault cars. And like I said, I haven't been able to figure out why. People that drive them back to back with me, everyone can agree that there is an appreciable difference between the two cars. But like I said, no one can tell me why. So if anyone knows, I'd be glad to know what y'all think, if there's any concrete information behind that. Like I said, a lot of Benz people haven't even been able to explain that to me. And if you look behind me, you can see this one is equipped with its windscreen as well as a bunch of its books, which is always nice to see because these didn't really have any type of glove box to speak of. You got your eyeglasses holder, you got your side pockets in your doors, and then you got the center console, which isn't a whole lot of storage. Although you do get the kind of storage shelf pockets behind here. This being an early one, you actually have use of both of them, whereas on the later cars with the Bose sound system, the amplifier and subwoofer takes up that side. So you get a little extra storage in these, but you do lose your cup holders because you end up with a multiple cassette changer instead, which is a cool throwback, a great Radwood thing if you're into the Radwood thing. 7 cassette changer. So super cool there. And this being a 80s, 90s German car, wouldn't be at home without having an ashtray and cigarette lighter. I know one of my good buddies from back in my dealership days, he was at the dealership when these were new. I think he started in 83 or 84. And he remembers when these came out, coming out of the 107 chassis SL, which was run from 74 to 89, so a very long production run. This was very long overdue, and it was just a huge leap forward to the fully automated roof, the new quad cam V8, which was 60 horsepower or so more than the outgoing 560. So there's lots of big changes everywhere, and they also made it so much more sporty. Because the 107s, they're kind of just that old, lazy, rolly, they're not a sports car. But he said these, he said even to the point they got some complaints when they were new because of how stiff they rode. I think it is just the sweet spot, and it really is, the SL is meant to be a sports car, so it really is the best combination, and why I think it is the best SL, unless you're going into the real vintage stuff like the 190 SLs and the Pagodas and so forth. It's what I can say, it is modern enough, while giving you that vintage, old-school bank vault Mercedes feel. Because once you got into the 230 chassis, you can watch our video of that right there, is that the 230s, it was that leap into the early 2000s, or early mid-2000s, where technology was running rampant, and they just packed all the technology they could into the cars, and the build quality was just not the same. Lots of cheap plastics and cheap vinyls, and just weren't this. Whereas this, you get a modern driving experience with the old school bank vault feel. I keep saying that because it's true. So if you still want to do your mountain runs on the weekend or whichever, it will do it. With that said, I've kind of shared all my stories, or, there's a lot more to be had, but that's one of the best things about this specific car, is that with only 33,000 miles, there is lots of life and time to spend in this car to create some of those stories of your own. And like I say, this one has a super neat story, is that it is a 3-owner car that has had some very long-term ownership, and the most previous owner bought it because he bought it with a condo, and he became to love it, and I've been sending him pictures and stuff along the way of getting it back up to snuff, because it being a vacation home car, it didn't always get a ton of attention. So it's super exciting to him to see as well, to see it come to its potential glory, and just really appreciate how nice this is, even now that it is about 33 years old, which actually matches the miles. Look at that. So about 1,000 miles a year average, which isn't a lot. So hopefully the next owner puts a lot of miles on it and creates some of those memories, like I said, because there really is nothing like an old Mercedes. It really was a time period in which a Mercedes really meant something, and that, especially in the pricing, if you look at what these cost, these in period, adjusted for inflation, were more than what an SL costs today. It just goes to show you that build quality and everything goes into it. And you can see that in this car. So even though it is low mileage, that the time is not friendly to a lot of things. And these have stood the test of time and does everything that it still needs to do all these years later. And what makes one of the best things about this car is this color combination as well. I scoured through, all the Bring a Trailer listings and stuff to see, how many 904 cars there were, and I think I collectively found 3. And I think there was only one that was this exact match, which was the 904 blue over Palomino. And with there being tons of these SLs built from 90 to 2002, it is super special to see and have one that is very specific and just not like all the other ones. Like I say, we tie that into all the service work we put into this one. I think retail, it came out to around $15,000 worth of reconditioning that went into this car, which it's tough to find a used car like that these days. So we are happy to pass that on to the next owner, that they can enjoy this as much as we do. But here we'll go ahead and give it one more full kick down. Just up to red line, it pulls so strong. Unfortunately, we don't have the top down today just for the audio quality, but we'll make sure that we stick in a bunch of our pictures, because top down is the way these are enjoyed. But it does kind of give you a 2 cars in one, because with the hard top on, it does really change the character of how it drives compared to being a convertible. If you're limited on space or just can only keep up with 1 or 2 cars, you get the best of both worlds. In the worst weather, you put on the hard top, and in the nice weather, you take it off and you enjoy it as a top-down car. And that's it. So there you get 2 cars in one. Lots of bang for your buck. Another thing I love about these SLs is that even with the soft top down, you still get, it doesn't intrude on the trunk space at all. So you can fit a set of golf clubs in it, which was a big deal back in to the original buyers of these. And just, you can take a trip in it. You know, it's got plenty of space, comfortable, quiet, and yet can still do all the sports car stuff as well. So there we are, back at DC MotorWerks headquarters. I hope you all enjoyed this as much as I have, because like I said, these are the best iteration to me of the 129 SLs. It is an early model with all the feel, all the emotion, and that nostalgic bank vault Mercedes feel. I know I kind of beat a dead horse there, but it really is that good. But if you're catching this video early, this car is live on Bring a Trailer. So remember to bid early, bid often. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon to make sure you don't miss anything. And we'll see you on the next video.